Welcome everybody. We are back in the IOTA Discord. We are in another community governance meeting, and we are still talking about the Shimmer Community Grant Committee. We have released now the proposal, what was it, a week ago, or like seven
I
or
think it's a
nine,
week ago.
nine,
Yeah.
9 days ago, or something like this, like last weekend.
Mm.
And we received a lot of really good feedback. Um, we had, I don't know, I think 31 comments or something on the document. We have 155 people showed their opinion and showed their support with over, this is like 107 yes votes. So looks like average the proposal was well received. Um, but we had some very good comments and very good suggestions, and I have basically took the time to take those suggestions into account and adjust the initial proposal a little bit to take some of those ideas in, because I think it's pretty good that we get some feedback from outside on the ideas we had, and a lot of those things made really sense, and I think also helped to clarify and make things easier to understand. So basically, my plan was today to go through the new version, get your feedback and get your opinions on the additions that I did, and basically see if we would need to implement some more changes, and then kind of look forward to releasing a second version with these additions and with this new added or changed things. Um, I used to make it easier for me. I didn't use Google Docs this time. I used HackMD because it's already using Markdown, and for me, it's always a super pain in the ass to have like a 39-page Google Doc put into the forum, and then basically have to completely take care of all the Markdown formatting, which basically takes me half a day to. And with this HackMD, I basically can really just copy paste it as it is.
Yeah, for sure. Do
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
What I
Yeah, I just like Markdown because of that.
I really like it. I just get used to more
It's easier.
yeah, used to more Google Doc work with the foundation, but Markdown is pretty cool. If somebody wants to follow, I just linked the HackMD here in the channel. Um, but I'll go through on the screen. What I did is I highlighted all the areas that I changed compared to the old document. And I just have it basically here. And we can basically just switch over between the two versions. And mainly my thing was to try to shorten things a little bit down, because we got some comments also that it too long, too complex, sha la 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 la, and things like this. So I tried to put a little bit more effort into clarifying things in the beginning here in the simple summary, where I made clear that we are taking this budget of 15% from the community treasury. That will be 27 million tokens, so that it's coming from the community allocation. um, that we propose to elect a committee of 5 members, which one full-time employed lead and 4 part-time contracted grant reviewers. That we propose to set up a Swiss GmbH that will be kind of under the umbrella of the Tangle Ecosystem Association, and that we have clear defined criteria and tiers for giving out those grants. I think this was just really nothing new. Just I tried to summarize things a little bit better in the beginning already, because people tend not to read everything in such a proposal, it seems. Similar also with motivation. I found motivation there. I got a lot of double content there, and telling 2 or 3 times why we actually think this is a good idea to do it. So I'm basically only um, shortened things down and removed double mentions of things to make it a little bit shorter here, but nothing added or changed on the content here. Coming into specification things, before in the proposal it was like this, that we had a description of the committee, and then we had a separate description of the budget and how much salary and things like this. And I basically tried to put it all together in one point that is in relation to the committee. Otherwise, you have informations in 2 or 3 different places, and I think it's easier now to have this all together. I tried to clarify this point that the lead is also directly involved in grant reviews. And I think also this is what we talked about in the last meeting already, and also got from the feedback that the grant reviewer should not be able to just pick any proposal that he basically likes. It should be more something like that the program lead basically decides which reviewers will work on which proposal. Yeah, this might be a more neutral approach, and instead of having grant reviewers always basically either picking the super easy proposals or maybe becoming into the risk of picking proposals of projects they really like and things like this. So I think this is a nice role basically for the lead to skip through all the new arriving proposals and then basically decide, okay, that's going to be reviewer number 1 and reviewer number 3, and or a team of number 1, 2, 3 and things like this. So that also was some suggestion from the community in the forum. And as always, as if there is anything you want to add or want to ask, just speak up. What else? I also clarified that the lead will be responsible for financial transparency and reporting. Here, JD made this amazing Notion page already, which will be basically like a full proposal tracker with all. I linked it somewhere here. I will show you later. I think JD made a great job in putting this already together as a template where basically later everybody can always look which proposals are there, in which stage are they, how much score did they reach in the review, how much funds have been allocated to them already, where are they, which milestone has been reached, and things like this. That's basically a great tool. And I tried to clarify the role of the lead. I think the best thing would then really be that if the GmbH is set up, the lead would be employed as the managing director of this GmbH, which gives him some kind of executive power and also some legal responsibilities. And I also put the salary stuff up here. I mean, there have been some discussions in the forum about the salary. It was quite interesting to see. Some people said it's far too high. Other people said, oh, it's far too low. So yeah, I don't know. I think we are, compared to the industry standards that we've seen, we are quite low compared to what people think it might be okay. It's, yeah, so I think with the 70 and 50, we might be on a good middle ground that it seems to be acceptable for most of the people.
So something we talked about in the Stammtisch yesterday was liabilities for the lead.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you are like financial with your private money, and so I'm not a legal guy,
Yeah,
but
I'm
I feel
also
like this needs to be cleared.
yeah, I'm also unsure. I think the reason to do this is that, of course, if you would act in bad faith or something, you cannot, a GmbH can never release you completely from any legal obligation. But as far as I understand it, as long as you act in the statutes of the GmbH, and then basically the GmbH would offer you remove your personal liability and put the liability onto the GmbH, and then the liability is limited to the capital that is in the GmbH. But don't, I'm not a guy for this business law things. I here only really follow recommendations of the lawyers that we have talked to. Also, the Swiss Association gives another, let's say, umbrella of legal protection. So that's basically the reason to do this setup with the Swiss Association and then the GmbH as a subsidiary. That a part of the legal shield is coming from the Swiss Association, and the other one kind of coming from the GmbH itself. But of course, you can never completely exclude all liabilities from anyone, yeah. But as far as you're not really breaching laws, it shouldn't be an issue, kind of, yeah, because then the if there was a case, this would first go against the GmbH, and the GmbH is then liable with their capital and along the statutes of the Swiss law. But I think we should get our legal team to write something about this, because I read a couple of articles about this, but it's all kind of lawyer speak, and that's really not my field of expertise.
Yeah, I think
Uh,
that's important because if the people don't understand what risk they're taking,
Yeah.
it could
I
be.
mean, it's kind of similar, yeah. If you are, I mean, of course, if you are like a general manager of this thing, there are some different things. But for a grant reviewer, it's basically okay. You are providing a service to the thing as part of your service and your contract with the GmbH. You act on behalf of the GmbH, and then should be similar, like you are a subcontractor of any company here um, that you're working for. You're offering a service as a subcontractor
Mhm.
for another company. You are under some umbrella from the legal side.
Yeah, you would think that. Yeah,
Mm.
but it'd be better to make sure that there's a
Yeah,
statement
yeah, I'll
somewhere.
try to get. I don't know if Anya is super busy, but I will try to get her in, or maybe I can also get Bian again, maybe to do a little write-up or a summary or something like this to clarify this a bit. Yeah. What else? Yes, this was this stuff, that stuff. Then here I added it again, that the lead will basically most of the time directly assign the reviewers to a proposal. The grant reviewers will operate as a service provider contract with the Swiss GmbH. And again, here I directly put on in the compensation with the $50 for maximum 40 hours per month. I I made it like before. I think we always were only writing 10 hours per week, but I think it would be very useful to give a little bit flexibility here. Yeah, if I don't know somebody, sometimes you have, uh, people like Thomas or something. Yeah, you work like 2 weeks offshore, and you don't have any assets, but this still means that in the other 2 weeks you could then use up to 40 hours for grant
Sure.
reviewing and things like this. Yeah, so it doesn't need to be always 10 hours a week. It can always also be 5 hours in this week and 15 hours in the next week. As long as you stay within this 14 hours per month thing, I think it shouldn't be
Yeah,
a
so
very
in
strict thing.
essence, not to
Yeah.
exceed 40.
Yeah,
Yeah,
not to exceed the 40 hours. Um, but pretty flexible. It should be really flexible in this thing. Yeah,
sure.
you don't have working hours and things like this. If people
Yeah,
have time and they have 2-3 hours to start looking into a grant application, they can hop in and do some work or do something on a Saturday or something. Yeah. This is also something we have been talking about already, that if something would happen to the lead, don't know, holiday, sickness or something, then the co-lead would basically step up. Um, and would then also be compensated and able to invoice more than 10 hours per week. Yeah. So let's say really you have the co-lead had something and he's 3 weeks out, and the co-lead would have time to fill up partially or most of this time, then of course he or she can invoice a higher amount of hours for this time where the lead was not available or was out of reach. Yeah, just to have it stated here so that not later discussions will come up why and whatever. Yeah. I think that's kind of reasonable, yeah. If somebody really, if there's a need that work needs to be done, or it's otherwise you would have to stop the project or really kind of reduce a lot of work that has been done, and the co-lead is able to do this work and has time to do it, then of course go for it and be also compensated for it. What else? Then next thing I added or clarified is, so if there is the urge of replacement for members, it will all then follow the Shimmer governance framework through the governance forum, through the stages. If the community is unhappy with the committee or with one of the committee members and wants to vote them out, they just follow this process that we have defined in the governance framework. What is this here? Yeah, so I just added this thing, violation of terms. Yeah, so of course, grant reviewers and the lead, they will sign a contract, and if there would be any violation of any term of this contract, this of course can always also be a reason to exchange a grant reviewer by a vote through governance. This here, we've been talking a lot about the conflict of interest thing. We really need to write basically a conflict of interest policy document, and which I then would also have all the committee members sign as part of their contract. Yeah, so that basically the contract contains the usual contractual terms. It contains an NDA. I have it somewhere down there. It contains a conflict of interest policy document that they have to sign, and it should also contain an insider trading document that basically prohibits them from use of any information they gather during their grant reviewing to make personal investments and stuff like this. So basically, this is kind of a standard formulas, but we just have to gather them and prepare them. But I think also here legal can help us to formulate such documents that also then are aligned with Swiss regulations to have the correct wording for those things. Yeah. But I think it's good that we stated here that it's clear that such things need to be in place for all the committee members. This is
Hi,
something.
guys.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you, Holger, but I have a question to the GmbH.
Yeah.
And I listened to your sentences, and do you guys see no problem with the committee members that are voted or speak out from the DAO, and on the other side, the contract to the GmbH? So, for example, if the DAO wants to exchange one of the members,
Yeah.
That would be a problem, maybe with the GmbH contracts on the other side.
As far yeah, I know what you mean. As far as I understood Björn correctly, there is that in the when the GmbH is set up, there can be some part of the Satzung of the GmbH can be an obligation that the GmbH acts on decisions of the DAO, basically. So if there would be a governance, if there would be a governance vote a binding governance decision by the Shimmer token holders that says, okay, committee member number 3 needs to be, his contract basically needs to be terminated, then the GmbH is legally obliged to follow this decision of the DAO. That's
Okay,
yeah.
what I mean is on the on the one side you have employment contracts from a GmbH to an employee. On the other side you have the governance framework, and I don't know if these two things are you. I think you cannot lie them over one-on-one. So there are many problems on the one side to the legal rights of the employee in real world, so to speak, and on the other side our intention of the DAO. So I see there are a lot of problems to employ someone into the GmbH with all the legal rights in this case in Switzerland. And on the other side, we cannot exchange a committee member from one day to another because he have a canceling rights or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, this of course. Yeah, that's the thing. Of course, you cannot remove him or her from one day to the other. You have then
Yeah.
to follow the Swiss Kündigungsfristen and stuff like this.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's exactly what I mean.
yeah, yeah. This I think
So it would be a
is
great
some.
idea if the IF legal team would write a blog post or something like that, where it's clearly understandable what's the main reason to build this GmbH and what is was heißt das Vorteil?
Yeah, the advantage. Yeah.
The advantage of the GmbH and what are the problems, or in other case, how could the DAO remain the power?
Yeah. Yes.
On one term of the employees or committee members, and on the other hand of the funds, because I don't know the power over the funds. How is this regulated? Is it into the GmbH or is it still in the DAO? And the GmbH committee members are only giving a mandate over the funds from the DAO.
Yeah.
That's the other problem.
Yes. So this is how I see it. Like I said, I'm not very deep into the thing. So basically, the funds, the 15% of the 10%. So this, I don't know, 27 million or whatever. They would always go into a multisig wallet, which keys are only held by the persons elected by the community. So so basically, even if the GmbH would want to enforce anything, the funds are in control of these 5 committee members elected by the community, not in control. So the GmbH basically cannot take any funds out of this multisig because nobody from outside the committee has access to the multisig. So the funds are always in control of the committee members. Of course, the GmbH needs to have this 20,000 Schweizer Franken in a funding, in a bank account or something like this. This is basically the only funds that would come from the community into the direct control, I think legal control of the GmbH. But the tokens are basically no assets of the GmbH. They are just basically part of what the committee members use for acting. And
okay, but we have a problem with the employment contract because who pays the salaries?
The committee pays the salaries themselves out of their multisig wallet. So it's also not that the GmbH or whatever, or the Tangle Ecosystem Association behind that or as an umbrella is doing any thing. So the committee members, they receive the 15% salary, the 15% tokens, or partially, or don't know, budget every couple of months. And with this, they are basically self-sustaining and self-regulation. They pay their own salaries and they pay all the grants out, and self-organizing themselves around this multisig wallet. And I think there is no legal control or power enforcement possible from the GmbH, which basically would be the Geschäftsführer, would be the project lead, um, over the multisig. You can't basically force them to sign anything that they
Okay,
don't
but
want. Yeah.
then it's very important to know after Swiss regulations if you possibly can hire somebody but without paying a salary out of this GmbH.
Mhm.
That's the main question here.
Yeah. Like I said, I don't know it exactly, but it's a common used thing in the Swiss crypto thing. As soon as you want to have a for-profit acting entity, it's most of the time used as this crypto or blockchain-based GmbH thing. And yeah, the control of, let's say, the token holders can be enforced over articles in the Satzung that actually force the Gesellschafters of the GmbH to act on governance decisions from the token holders. This can be written into the Satzung of the GmbH and is an legal enforceable act. Then that's basically what Bian told me also, and this is basically why it's also quite popular in Switzerland to do this, because then really a DAO, basically a community of token holders, can enforce full control over such a GmbH and can be basically the owner and controller of the GmbH.
Yeah, I think that would be an important point for the community to know who has really power over those funds. And
Yeah.
I think it's a great idea that someone with the legal background of it would write something up that the community understands what is it for, what are the consequences, and
Yes.
like that the funds are safe.
Yeah. I think I will try to get Bian doing it, because he has done this setup already a couple of times with many different DAOs and crypto projects. I think he will be very, very likely the easiest one and fastest one to write something up with the proper legal statements and mentions of the laws in Switzerland. Yeah. I'll
Yeah,
basically check to him, because I think it's for me it's the same. It needs to be clearly stated and it needs to be clearly defined, so that basically everybody can understand how this whole thing will work. And like you said, what are basically the advantages of it, and why was this a recommendation to do it like that?
yeah, that would be perfect. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. I'll try. I don't know, but he's probably sometimes maybe he has something similar already. He maybe has some articles that he can link and relate to where this is described in detail, and yeah, could give us a proper legal opinion on that.
Perfect. And the other question I have was, do you guys discuss the program lead that should also be the Geschäftsführer of the GmbH? I don't know, but I think that it would be very easier to find someone for this, because of course of the liabilities that comes with that, is that we better pay him monthly or yearly instead of hourly? That's the question.
Yeah, you
So
mean
if you say 40 hours a week, then maybe you have, I don't know, 170 hours per month, maybe. So you have something like 140, 150,000 USD per year, I think.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's, I think it's very easier to find someone if you pay him monthly or yearly, because
Yeah,
for
I know.
instance,
Yes, I know what you mean. Yes. So I mean, this is kind of yeah, this is basically a good idea to formulate it this way, because anyway, this is kind of an, let's say, AT or außertariflich position usually. Yeah. So
yeah,
yeah,
keep in mind that you have a really good time recording or time tracking of this. That
no,
would
of
be
course not. Yes.
hilarious for this one to track
Yeah.
the time tracking.
Yeah, no, but
How,
I think I just was reading last week something. You have to even you have, like, I think somewhere you need to state, let's say, core working hours times, even for Geschäftsführers in Switzerland. You're basically, nobody's allowed to work more than 50 hours a week.
okay,
So this is, I think, something that needs to be written down, that it's based on such an Arbeitszeit, because you have this even for Geschäftsführers. You have this, if they are not owners of the thing, they are, so as long as you are employed, you have to follow those laws. But
yeah,
of course, yeah, it would be then something, basically a yearly contract with a fixed amount of, like you said, 140K USD, instead of course, the lead will not need to, okay, this week I worked 37 hours and next week I worked 39 hours.
yeah,
That's of course not how
completely
it's
out of
intended.
book.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, but it's a good point. I think this is something like that. I'm absolutely not an HR person. Um, this, I think, I hope then we get a little bit support from the IF HR people to frame those contracts and documents and stuff like that, because that's basically absolutely not my expertise. Um, but it has to just be confirmed and confined with the Swiss regulations. But like you said, it's clearly something, it's not something that people need to watch their hours and report their hours, and then get the
yeah.
salary based on that. Yeah.
Because then we come to a point where we need to someone or hire someone to
Yes.
supervise the managing director.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
not
You
really
need then
bullshit.
basically an accountant and an whatever, and no, that's not the intention of that. And if it sounds like this is again clearly something that we need to modify in the proposal, to make it easy understandable. Yeah, that's a good suggestion.
Thank you.
Cool. Nice, good questions. Yeah, and I keep that in mind. I have to text Bian to get a proper statement on that. What else did I add here? So, like I said, I tried to clarify these things. I put in here the stuff with the NDA and the insider trading disclosures. Then I also did put up something for the multisig here, that we should make it a requirement that everybody that operates the multisig operates it with a Ledger Nano, so that people don't fiddle around with their with their MetaMask on an unsecured PC and stuff like this. Basically, everybody should have a Ledger Nano, and if they don't have, I mean, then they should buy one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or Ledger X. But
Or
I
whatever
guess
ledger, any ledger,
I
any
would
hardware wallet.
just generalize it as a hardware wallet, because I mean there are also Trezor. I don't think they have IOTA support,
Yeah.
which actually brings me to my notes, because like how are we going to be the structure? Because
Mhm.
if I recall correctly, the yearly budget is in the multisig. But what is with the other 85%?
They are, first of all, the whole 100% are held in custody with the Swiss Foundation until there would be proper smart contracts. Then
Swiss
when,
Foundation speak this would be the IOTA Foundation subsidy there, right?
yeah, the Tangle Ecosystem, so currently the funds are with the Tangle Ecosystem Foundation, yeah, since network start. Yeah, basically they are sitting in the custody wallet, I think, with, I don't know, crypto finance or whoever is doing this for us. This is where they are currently. And then basically, once we have smart contracts on the EVM and they are secure and tested and solid enough that we can deploy a governance contract on the EVM, like Compound Governor, or there is also something from Open Zeppelin. So basically the same contracts that hold the Uniswap Treasury and the Aave Treasury and all the basically big DeFi project treasuries. Then the whole community treasury can basically be transferred and held by this smart contract. And so the 85% would then be held in the smart contract, and the 15% in the multisig of the committee. I personally think it would, in the beginning, actually make more sense to stay on the safe side, to, I don't know, wait 2-3 months until all the funds are transferred, and maybe start with a first of a budget, I don't know, 5% instead of 15%, yeah, into the multisig, and the rest potentially maybe stay with the Tangle ecosystem in custody instead of putting it in a smart contract until really the EVM has completely proven that it's really as secure as it can be. But yeah, then basically the 85% should be in a governance contract, untouchable, and only movable by a governance vote through the token holders. And the 15% are operated within the multisig of the committee.
Okay. My notes again. Go on. I have to look something up.
Okay. Yeah, the selection process for the committee members, I have linked here our working doc, but this is really something I think now we need to finalize and sketch out this selection process for committee members. We have started, but we still have not really enough input here for how the nomination, which questions they would need to ask and things. I mean, we have a quite clear idea about it, but had not yet the time to really finalize this document for the selection for the lead and for the committee members, how it should work in the forum, how many, I don't know, polls and things we want to do, and then move it into a Firefly vote as a final decision. This is really something, if somebody has some time and give some input there. We got a lot of good comments here also from some committee members. But we have to put this together because the community wants to know also how this selection process in the end should work, so that the community can basically figure out and decide which people should sit in this committee. Yeah, so this is really something I try to focus a bit on the rest of the week to work on that document, and everybody is, as always, invited to put up ideas and comments and recommendations so that we basically get a really good, nice process designed how the community can select the best people for those jobs. Then we had a comment about from some person in the governance forum about for-profit, non-profit, open source things. I just think basically this was maybe a misunderstanding from the person that because we require open source, the person thought open source automatically prohibits funding for-profit projects. And this is absolutely not the case. Yeah, so we basically want applications to apply that in the end will make a lot of money out of the application. If they build a great app and they build a great application, everybody should be able to make profit and make a living and pay the teams and pay the salaries out of this. And so there is absolutely no requirement that projects that funded needs to be non-profit, like it was with the EDF, and which always was very much a pain in the ass, basically to fund anything that is not completely non-profit thing. Yeah. So this is basically why I did put this up here as one of the funding objectives to enable projects establishing successful and profitable business models on Shimmer. Yeah, this should be a goal. Because the more successful projects on Shimmer will be, the more other projects will want to tap into this opportunity, and the more profitable Shimmer and everything will be for the community, for the token holders. So please, really, nobody needs to think that this is only thought and made for non-profit entities, which is definitely not the case. Yeah, I think this was maybe just a misunderstanding around open source. But yeah, many open source projects are very, very profitable and are used and designed to be profitable. Just look in DeFi. It's all open source and it's still makes a lot of money with it. What else? Target areas I left. Guiding principles I also didn't touch anything. Wait, here I did something.
So I have one more point.
Yeah.
What, let's say we have a proposal, they applied to us, we agreed with them, we funded them, and then it turns out they lied us straight into the face. What is there anything we're going to do in this case? How are we going to? I mean, there are several scenarios. Like one would be it was just one. If it was like a two-part grant, we of course would not grant for the next milestone.
Yeah.
But if it like was a $3,000 and they just put it in their Lambo fund and didn't build anything, then
yeah. The question is, I think it's from case to case. Every project, everybody will be KIC'd. So the first thing is, okay, you will have the legal information to potentially sue them or send the police after them. Yeah, and the GmbH as a legal Swiss entity could, of course, do this. And if this project is, I don't know, is a team from Stuttgart, we know their addresses, we know where they live, we know how their names. Okay, then basically the Swiss GmbH can call the police in Stuttgart and start a process, sue them. Yeah. But of course, if the team is sitting in, I don't know, Nicaragua or in South Korea or I don't know, somewhere else in the world. And even if you have KIC'd them and it's just about 3K, very likely it will not be really effective to do this. Of course, if they disappear with 50K and they are somewhere, then I would always basically have the Swiss GmbH act as basically get a lawyer, go to the police, submit a report, and try to get the money back or try to sue them. Yeah, that's the good thing. And if you have full KIC and you have a legal entity as regulated thing here, and you're not like an anonymous DAO that has no representative in the real world, you can't do anything. Yeah, but with the GmbH and full KIC of everybody that receives funds, you can go after them. If in the end it will be effective, you never know. But this, I think, then would be a decision of the committee. Yeah, if they say, hey, they run away with 70K, but we basically know where they are. Yes, go after them. Yeah. That's my thing. I think it definitely will be possible. Absolutely, in the end, you never know if you find maybe they kind of cheated you with the KIC or I don't know. But yeah, if it's a large sum, I would always try to go the legal way, because in the end, this is why you have a legal entity around such a thing, to exactly if things go wrong, you are protected, but you can also enforce protection because it's also obligated. It's the community money, yeah. So we can then just you can't just say, yeah, okay, that's 70K. Sorry, sad, it's gone. it's basically money from the community, and you definitely have to try to get it back on a legal way.
Maybe this is a point we should add to the document.
Mm.
Because I
Yeah.
think if you think that we should do that and actually do legal stuff and sue people that are scamming the DAO for money, because I recall you posted this in DAO discussion, this post,
Yes.
hey, just apply for funds. And
Yes.
yeah, because
Yeah.
I think then we should put this in.
Yeah, it's a good idea. Basically, it should be then. I will try to put this somewhere in around the legal entity thing. I will for this. I will ask Bian, so that we basically have the correct information there. How such a process could even work. But as I said, I mean the GmbH is a legal person under Swiss law, and then you basically, as a legal person, you can always appeal for a law enforcement if you have been cheated or you have been uh, stolen, or if any milestones or things or contractual. The question would always be in the end. Um, it might be difficult because we are not signing a contract with those projects. Yeah, so basically we are giving a grant. So it might be difficult because there is no signed agreement, I think, in the end, um,
Yeah,
between.
that's
Yeah,
also a point.
yeah, that's the point. In the end, a lawyer would say, okay, yeah, you have a chat here, a Discord chat, and I don't know, maybe a couple of emails. Maybe this could count as a legal agreement, even if it's not signed. But I don't know. I think then in the end, let's hope that we don't get a lot of these rug pulls, and especially not something big. Um, it can be quite a
You
painful
can never
thing.
prevent it,
Yeah, yeah,
especially
absolutely.
you like.
Yeah, and that's basically I mean, this is also the risk of doing business in this case. Projects will fail, yeah, and if they fail, if they try and they just fail because they are not something doesn't, it happens, yeah. Um, then you really have to see from case to case basis, is it really something okay they received and they never replied to anything and it just disappeared? Yeah, but yeah, if other cases you turn out and you still see, okay, the project tried, but it just failed because I don't know, the team didn't work out or technicals haven't. You never know, yeah. Okay. Then the what I added here was that this was also a point that it's clear that all applications, all accepted grants will be tracked in this public Notion page. Um, Basically, I want to show you this because this is really great from JD. I don't know if you have all seen it already. Um, this is a Notion page built by DeepSea JD. This basically like a proposed structure is how this public visible information would be. Yeah, so you would have basically tracked all tiers, all grants in tier one, the title, the date of submission, in which season we are, what's that lead, what does it, I don't know, lead checked. This means that the program lead has checked the proposal. The team has accepted the proposal. Here you could put files up there. I don't know, uploaded white papers or something like this. You see which category of grant they applied. You track which legal status the project has, if it's incorporated, if it's just a single person or whatever, that the KIC is completed, the required USDT amount for funding. That is in this case 5K, so it's a tier 1. The score result, which reviewer was involved in the reviewing process. This is so okay that it has been accepted. No, okay, these are even the scores. So reviewer number 3 gave a score of 20. Reviewer number 4 gave a score of 7. So basically you have all these things tracked. You have the project description linked. You have the grant, the goals and the milestones linked. Then you have the scoring, the points from the decision-making matrix. Diddle, 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 diddle. So I think that's like pretty amazing. And I think JD also created something that this actually will be filled out automatically by the documents that the reviewers use. Yeah, so it's not that the reviewer later or the lead has to go here and fill in this table manually. They will use documents in the background that automatically transfer the information once it's put into their working doc. This information will be visible in this public page here. I think that's the plan how JD is doing it. I think that's amazing. And I think Notion and Airtable and things like this, they work together like that and it works. So that's basically pretty cool. And the community can live check all the time what is going on in the Treasury, in the committee. What are they working on? What have they decided? How much funds going out and stuff like that.
Sorry, just a question. This looks super amazing, but I was just thinking of this when you see who gave what score. This is
Yeah.
anonymous, right?
This is
Remember
anonymous.
number
Yeah.
3? It doesn't
Yeah.
show. Okay.
Yeah, I think
Because I was just-
nobody should know who is reviewer number 2 and reviewer number 1. Because especially we talked about this. We don't want projects later on go after a certain reviewer because they see, oh, we missed 2 points and we weren't able to be funded because this or this person didn't like us or something like this. So this, of course, should always stay anonymous. Yeah, transparency is good, but also the grant reviewers need to be protected in their personality and in their freedom, basically, to do work without having to worry that whatever decision they do next week, an angry project will send bad messages on Twitter to them and stuff like this. Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, that's what I thought about. So that's why I just wanted to
Yeah.
ask about these numbers.
Yeah.
But yeah, if it's just a number, then no one can
Yeah,
find
I
out.
think it will stay. It will really stay pseudo-anonymous. Of course, everybody knows in the end who will be the 5 reviewers, but we try to avoid giving detailed information which reviewer in the end makes which decision on a proposal. It will always be the decision of the whole committee communicated, but without any details who in the end made which review or made which score or made how many points and things like this. This should stay anonymous to protect the reviewers and give them less headaches and a better working environment also.
Yeah, perfect.
Yes, so that's the database. I think that's pretty cool what JD was doing there. Then, yeah, there were some. I know in the beginning we talked about that potentially for the tier 1 thing, only one reviewer would be needed and he can autonomously give out 5K grants. But we have had several comments here, and I also had a couple of talks with people. And we also thought and talked about it in the last meeting already. I said, okay, maybe in the beginning we should definitely have a kind of 4-eyed principle. And I think it makes sense that even for those small grants, there will be one reviewer working on them. But before, in the end, funds will go out and this one reviewer does the decision, then I think it would absolutely be needed that the program lead does something like a sanity check. Yeah, the lead doesn't need to go through the whole proposal and the whole thing, but the reviewer should be able to very clearly and easily lay out why he did this decision and give reasons, and then the review, the program lead can still say, that sounds like, I don't know, I don't think it's reasonable, or he can just say, okay, looks good, go for it. So that basically also for this tier one things, a short oversight from the program lead would be something good. Then it avoids, sometimes people make mistakes or they see something in a wrong or in a different way, and it's always good basically to get a second opinion on something, even if it seems very easy. But sometimes people oversee things, so I think that's a thing that we can count on, that the program lead will have a second pair of eyes on the decisions in the tier one thing. And also, I think we had something that we said, okay, tier one, a decision will be made within 48 hours. I don't think we need to rush so much there. I know Aave is doing this, or they try to do this, but it's like, in the end, we will have more trouble with this, because then there will be a weekend or whatever, or somebody gets sick and something.
Maybe we should put that more lenient in that. Say it's the goal to do it in 48 hours, or maybe change it to 2 working days. That's essentially the same.
Yeah, I did put
I would say let's
Hmm.
put it. What's it? Does it say the program funds are?
That's funds are, so once a decision is made, then so you say you have a green light, it's accepted, then within 48 hours the money will be paid out. Yeah, I think this is something that can be done, because this is just then a multi-sig action. But I would I would put in 1 week. Yeah, so that basically a proposal goes
I agree
in.
that yeah.
Proposal goes in. It's Saturday. Then let's say Monday morning starts, people will start review, so give them 2-3 days, so that until Friday the decision is taken, and then on Monday after the money will arrive. Yeah, it's like,
I would almost change it. I would also almost change that a little bit with a goal of doing it. Like,
yeah. And also sometimes you have things like,
right.
maybe a proposal comes in, you basically say, yes, we would like to, but you have to change something, or we are missing some information here.
Right.
The KIC process will also sometimes take time. So this very hard requirement of 48 hours is, I think, it's not feasible. Yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah.
I like the idea of adding in with the goal within 1 week, because things can happen. Somebody can get sick.
Yeah.
You can get slammed with tons of applications. You never know.
Yeah, I would, as I said, I would put it in as a target, because it's like, we are going to call you back within 48 hours. Maybe then the call comes earlier.
Yeah, because these
put it
people
like
can become
we
demanding, right?
we try to do it in 2 working days or so, but if things go hard, then maybe it's
He already
going to
changed
be.
it to he already changed it to 2 weeks, right? I mean, to a week, right?
A
So
week. This is one reviewer hands a proposal and approves or declines it within 1 week after submission.
Maybe change it to
I even like the term about
complete.
a week. I don't even like being very specific. You're just.
I would also revert it to full submission. So let's say if there was stuff
or
missing,
let's
because
say
I think
a complete submission, or full or complete.
complete submission.
Complete's a
Because
better word.
I think especially with the low tiers, you might attract some people that aren't too good in that. So you just say, I mean, we are not there. Like, hey, there's a word missing. Denied.
Or people really they do just a lazy submitting. Yeah, they just do, okay. They don't state their Discord handles. They forget to put in an email. They're all kind of stuff.
Maybe there's. I mean, that's why I thought of this basically in hold progress, where we say the submission is there, we have read it, but there's stuff missing,
Yes.
or it's insufficient what they wrote. Might also be person A thinks that's enough, and the reviewer says, I don't think so.
Yeah.
But I think
Yeah.
it's not denied because
No,
you
it's
can
not yet
still
denied.
fix it.
It's then a fluid process. Of course, some things you can deny directly. It says like, okay, there's like stupid application. Somebody looks over it. Okay, I want to buy 12 dogs with $5,000 for my wife. Bang, don't need to talk about stuff like this. But anything that comes in sounds reasonable, but it's just missing some information. Then the reviewer basically sends a reply back. Okay, interesting application, thank you, but we are missing some information from you, provide them. And then basically, once everything of this is arrived, then within a week, I think a decision can be made that should be okay for such small tier things. Yeah. Okay, oops, wrong one, this one. So yeah, so this basically we would have then within a week after complete submission. The rest I didn't touch anything here as far as I see. The applicant details, everything there. One thing I added this stuff here, that already in the application process, a team must state if they have received already funding before from any other fund program. And if they have currently applied for another grant by another grant giving program, either be it the Tangle Ecosystem Fund or be it in another, I don't know, maybe they also applied for Polygon and Phantom and NIA grants or whatever, because I think it's good to know for a reviewer. If you know, okay, they also apply for NIR and they also apply for Polygon, first of all, okay, they will not be exclusively building only on Shimmer, which will give a little bit less points in the review. And potentially then you can also have to track, are they submitting exactly the same thing on different chains and actually really only want to look where they will be able to farm this thing, because then if we fund the building of an application from scratch, and so they have it then, and then basically they go to Polygon and they ask for the same funding, even if they have it already been funded from us, yeah. Or the other way, they have been already received funding from Polygon, and then they come to us and apply for the same thing, for the same work, and for the same stuff again without changing anything. They will just basically change the chain ID in the EVM where they put up their thing. Yeah. So if it has been already paid from another ecosystem funding, and they just want to basically change 2 lines of code and put Shimmer instead of Matic tokens in their code, and ask for 15K, then you basically you know what to do as a grant reviewer. Yeah? So I think that's important that they state this. Of course, they can lie, but of course, if you do a little bit research and you find out that they have replied already for another fund, or have already received money from another fund, then of course you know basically what to think about such a project. Yeah.
What happens is there a way that we can create basically a website that scrawls for people who've been funded through different programs? Like, I feel like there's got to be some type of landing page of these are projects that have been funded from all the different ecosystems.
Yeah.
And if we could create some type of like aggregation page, that would be pretty cool.
That would be basically a cool application, actually, like a fund aggregator grant application. Basically, I think we will have to. This would be currently is still a manual process that you check through these other things. If there is a team out there that wants to build something like this, sounds like an interesting grand idea. Yeah. because this is also then something very, very useful for the whole crypto ecosystem, basically. I haven't heard of anything. I know there are some websites that basically track all funding possibilities. Yeah, so if you offer a grant, you will basically in the end land on one of these websites where you can see all open grants in the Web3 space, but not really something that tracks who has received grants. Yes.
Yeah, I think it'd be really cool.
Yeah, it would be cool. And it's a lot of work, also kind of, and some things are open. The problem is there's so many different formats, yeah, where these things are published. So it's a kind of a nasty work, I think. One thing I wanted to talk with you guys about. So here, basically, this is the scoring table where the grant reviewers give points based on relevance to the ecosystem, quality of the team, and blah, 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 blah. Where they, in the end, will come up with a score or a certain amount of points that would decide if a project can receive a very high funding. Yeah, like 200K, something you would need nearly full points on all these things. One thing that I added here, because I read it everywhere, and we have been all talking about making the treasury sustainable. And I've also seen a couple of examples of this in other grant programs I've looked through over the weekend. Is basically that you have the scoring points. Yeah, and let's say a project, a reviewer checks through everything and says, okay, this is they get 13 points from me for what they have delivered. But then we thought, okay, we want to give a little bit a special advantage, or we want to be more positively for projects that guarantee a backflow of investment or a backflow of capital into the community treasury. And so I thought about, hey, why not make something that, okay, if projects definitely agree on giving a certain amount of tokens to the treasury, they just receive an extra point or 2 or 3 extra point, depending on how much tokens they are willing to give. And I found some examples from that. Basically, in Polygon, it's like this. In Polygon, if a project applies for a grant for more than 40K, and Polygon has some voucher system. So basically, if they get 40K cash and 70Ks in vouchers, they can only get this amount of funding if they give 1.5% of their tokens to the treasury, to the Polygon DAO. Yeah? Otherwise, they have no chance of getting a really high funding. And 1.5 is quite a lot. Yeah, but this is basically how those treasuries really make money and grow their treasuries. If they give out high tiers of funding, a lot of them require these token allocations. So I thought, okay, why not? I mean, everybody was asking in the community about this, also in the replies in the forum. A lot of comments have been circling around that. So I said, okay, why not? Okay, if a project offers 0.5% of their tokens, they get 1 extra point in this scoring table. Yeah, so they reach 14 and they pledge, okay, we guarantee 0.5% of our tokens goes into the treasury. Basically, they would have to send this out before receiving money. They get an extra point, and this would potentially lift them from, let's say, from tier 2 to tier 3, where they would be able not to receive only 50K, but they ask for 90K, so they need 1 or 2 more points. Yeah, if they give a certain amount of tokens, yes. Yeah, so this was basically an idea. For 1%, they get 2 extra points, and for 1.5%, they get 3 extra points in this table and would then be potentially able to get a higher fund allocation from the treasury. But of course, I put this here. This does not apply automatically, and something like this is only allocated on a case-by-case basis. Yeah, so if a project approaches the committee with such a thing and says, okay, we are willing to give a certain amount of tokens from our project into the treasury, if we then are able to receive a higher tier funding, of course, this will be then something that the whole committee will need to look through, will really think about if it's really worth to hold these tokens. I mean, if the project is shit, it doesn't matter what do you want with a lot of useless tokens. But if it's a really good project, and I don't know, maybe they miss 1 or 2 points in this year in the scoring, and but they are willing to support the community by giving tokens, then I think this could be a good solution for this. Yeah, what do you think, my friends?
I think it's a reasonable idea. One, so it doesn't hurt people that don't have tokens, right? It's just they don't get the point, right?
Yeah.
So if it's a
Yeah.
project that doesn't have a token, they just don't get that extra point.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
But
a possibility maybe of tax ramifications for
yes.
the Treasury, right?
Yes, sure. The thing is, anyway, the Treasury will have to handle all those tax things, which are quite okay and easy in Switzerland.
Okay.
But yes, of course, if that's the thing, if you get tokens, if you get profits, if you make money with this thing, you need to follow then all the tax things that are needed. But of course, I mean, that's
No,
part
we'll
of
just have to
part
set
of
it
the
up like
game. Yeah.
from the very beginning, the cost basis and all that stuff, so that
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it's
But
not just like, hey, we give you the tokens. We need to like
yes, you have
appropriately log it
to.
from an accounting standpoint, so that
Yeah,
we know what type of tax
yeah.
treatment we
I
have
don't know how it is.
over the year.
Potentially, it's also the year thing in Switzerland or something. It is a year of
Yeah,
holdings.
but it would need to be
Yeah.
that
It
needs
needs
to
to
be
be
determined.
declared, and it needs to be tracked also properly. Yeah, again, that's then something for the lead to, and potentially you will have to have a tax advisor for stuff like this then.
Yeah, I think it's also it's a little bit more involved the more that I consider it. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm all for it, but there's also lockup periods and stuff like that.
Yeah. So I don't know, but I think in the end it might be there might a couple of those things might turn out as pretty good investments. I know that
Oh yeah, for sure.
some DAOs basically they really thrive on something like this, and if you have a good project coming in, and then
Yeah, we should definitely do it.
everything
I
goes
just
up.
yeah.
And I just thought, okay, I saw this and I thought like, okay, that's like 110K. That's what Polygon asks. If you want 110K, you give us 1.5% of the tokens. So
Yeah, I think it's
yes,
great.
so I made this a little bit around this. Yeah, happy to receive some comments, read through it, think through it. We can potentially we need to adjust this, but I think it might not be a bad idea to have this there. If it's a project wants to use the idea and the committee basically really likes the project and everything looks great and everything looks basically like a green flag for everything, and why not use this opportunity and put this all in the community treasury, and the community after a year, or I don't know how the holding period then will be in Switzerland, can use those tokens and start to grow the treasury instead only spend. Yeah.
I like it. It's
Yeah.
cool.
Cool. Okay. What else? Here.
Where's Polygon based out of? I don't recall. Do you know?
You will never really figure it out. It's Polygon is a black hole. It's forget it.
Okay.
It's crazy.
So So they've done a
if
good
you
job with that.
if
Huh?
anybody wants to start researching Polygon DAO, don't be surprised. I mean, hey, Polygon sounds like they're everywhere. Yeah, Polygon here, Matic there,
Yeah.
the new. Forget. That's really my personal opinion, and I don't want to say anything bad about. But Polygon sounds like, if you look into it, everything looks completely fake and dead. Kind of really, there's like. It's like a big show. And they have great websites and they have great marketing, but there is no community or anything really happening there. That's like we are far better with our processes and all this DAO and all this everything in governance that we are doing and designing is so much level above what those guys are doing. So yeah, I'm pretty confident that we're doing very, very good work. If you look a little bit deeper in other projects, you have to sometimes scratch your head. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't,
No, I think we're doing.
don't say anything more.
Yeah.
The complaint process. We had a comment about, okay, what does a project do when it gets declined? Yeah. And they don't want to accept this. Yeah. And then, okay, the basic idea was that, okay, we have a governance forum. If really a project says, we feel unjustful treated by the committee, we are so super with our zombie NFT collection, we need 70K for creating a couple of more JPEGs of this thing. We want to complain. Yeah, and I would say, okay, we put up a channel in the governance forum where such a project can put up a complaint to the community, and then the community can read it, and then the community can decide if the community as a whole wants to do anything. I don't know, exchange the committee because they didn't found the JPEG 70K project or whatever. Yeah. And then there was a comment about, okay, but potentially it might be that a moderator of the forum is also a grant reviewer. And potentially the grant reviewer that declined this project. And then if this project then would go into the forum and complain about this grant reviewer, and the grant reviewer is a moderator in the forum, the moderator would have the power to, I don't know, censor this complaint in the forum. And so there was the urge of a member to put this somewhere that if such a complaint is coming in and the forum moderator has also been the grant reviewer, the forum moderator is not allowed to do any moderation in the forum on this complaint thread. And this is what I did put up here. I think it's a very, very edge of the edge case, but in one of a thousand
good to bring
things
up.
it
Yeah.
might happen. So I just put it here. Yeah, if a grant reviewer is also a governance forum moderator, this moderator is excluded from any moderation activities in this specific forum conversation about the project complaining that they didn't receive the funding or whatever they want to complain about. Yeah. It's just to be clear that there are other governance forum moderators that can take care of that. But if somebody was personally involved in this decision around declining a project, then this person should not be involved in moderating the discussion in the forum. Yeah, I think that's reasonable. It's, like I said, very edge of the edge, and potentially we will never have to worry about things like that, but better to have it stated. Otherwise, if it's coming up and it's not clearly defined, it will only cause bad blood and stuff like this. Okay, what else? I did put up this thing. I'm not sure, but I think that's especially for the start, the best possible solution, that the committee, because you will need access to stablecoins, to a proper stablecoin market, and potentially also to a regulated stablecoin market. I don't know how DeFi and DEXs are seen on Swiss law. Potentially, it's definitely going to be easier if the GmbH has an institutional account currently on Bitfinex, which will be basically the big exchange which has enough Shimmer token, enough liquidity, and access to USDT. So basically, if the committee needs to liquidate some Shimmer tokens to get stablecoins, they will need to have access to an exchange. And so they will need to set up an institutional account on Bitfinex, where they basically can sell Shimmer tokens and receive stablecoins for that. Very likely, the project lead will operate this account. It might be even possible that also this account can have an integration of multisig. I think Gnosis has something like this. This is maybe something we can look into so that even the account on the exchange would need multi-signature signing for any selling activities. Maybe I'll add this here as a comment. Don't forget it. But I think that's possible in exchange accounts, that you have an account that is bound by a multisig.
It is possible. It's I think it gets a little bit complex based upon where the individuals live. So, like for example, if you did Bitfinex, right, and they have that, a U.S. citizen could not be part of that multi-sig, I don't think.
Yeah, Bitfinex and US is problematic.
Yes.
Okay, good. Good to know. This is something we have to figure out.
But yeah,
What-
and then
what makes sense.
Binance would be the same thing. I mean, so
Yeah.
it has to be like,
Okay.
it gets
Okay, it gets potentially painful. In the end, yeah.
no, I think it's a great idea. It's
yeah.
just, you just need to know that those,
Yeah.
depending upon what the laws are, what
Yeah.
the exchange, countries that they
Yes.
allow to use their exchange will dictate.
Otherwise, then this would be something. Let's say the acting on the exchange could then be also handled by the program lead or something. Yeah. So the multisig sends, I don't know, 50,000 Shimmer tokens to the exchange, and then the lead logs into the exchange, sells, and withdraws this again to the multisig. I mean, that's a little bit centralized.
Yeah, there's a couple different
thing.
ways you could do it.
Yeah.
I mean, like if you have a committee of 5, right? If
Yeah.
you just say that, like, we need at least 3 signatures. If 2 of the U.S. people can't be involved,
Yes,
then
that's
but at least you
also-
have 3 of
yeah,
them, right?
Yeah, would be cool, but I don't think we get 5 people from US completely.
No.
That's,
it's just
yeah.
but-
Yeah. But if this is something, if you have 3 people basically that are not US based and that could be signer of this thing without getting into any legal obligations, cool. Then you can do it and can handle it over
Yeah.
multisig, which definitely would be preferred to
For
keep
sure.
it decentralized. That was this. Yeah, this is then the budget around the reviewers, that they will issue invoices as service providers. Added this here. Then we talked about how we handle the thing with market volatility and something. And I think last or already a couple of times we said that minimum for the lead, we would, in the beginning of the program, we would basically convert Shimmer tokens for 6 months salary into stablecoin. So this would be then 72,000 if we agree on the $70 per hour thing. So basically, once the whole thing starts, a couple of Shimmer tokens need to be sold to have this 72,800 in stablecoin in the multisig, and for the next 6-month period, then it would be the same. Yeah. potentially less Shimmer tokens because the price, of course, has very likely and very hopefully increased of Shimmer. And I thought something similar for the grant reviewers, but here I thought about having maybe doing it only quarterly, yeah, so that you have every 3 months you basically convert a couple of Shimmer tokens to get this
Right.
24. This would be the maximum amount of costs that you would have if all grant reviewers do their 10 hours a week thing. Very likely will be maybe less, maybe more or whatever. So, but then, yeah, so that we have a clear schedule, in April, 1st April, the next Shimmer tokens will be sold from the Treasury to cover the costs of the salary, and so that it's also clear that the salary for the reviewers and the lead is securely available in stablecoins.
Oh, I just thought of something.
Mm-hmm.
So we are now doing 2 times a year we sell tokens.
Yeah.
Because of course, if we are going to dump, I calculated the yearly salary of the entire team would be around 250k.
Yeah.
If we are going to dump that onto the market, in this case it would be 2 times 125.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to crash the price pretty hard because right now the 24-hour trading volume is just 300k, so it's essentially a lot. So,
I mean, we're not
what
doing.
if we are just?
Yeah.
So I guess we would have to. I thought about maybe that we are going over a 2 months period before the next half year starts. We are going to periodically sell them.
Mm-hmm.
This would essentially also be like reverse dollar cost averaging. So we would maybe we don't have to risk that maybe right at the day we are planning to sell, there's a dump because people know that we are going to
Yes, you
sell
can
it that
basically
day.
you can short something like this. So yeah,
You
we
can
should.
time it. Yeah.
Yeah.
We should definitely have something like this in place. That I mean, yes, if you would really start tomorrow, this definitely would be a problem. You couldn't execute this order for a proper price. I think in a couple of weeks or whenever we will be really starting this whole thing, it might be better because very likely volume, maybe we could get a couple of more exchanges or whatever. Might increase, but yes, it's definitely something that you don't want to dump in one package on the market. Again, then
like
yeah,
Bitforex currently has the majority of the volume with 263k.
Yeah.
Let me just look at
Yeah.
the order book.
yeah, and so let's
But I
say you
think
want to
there's not going to be that much density.
no. So if you want to do it
Yeah.
like this in the beginning, you would need something like 100k. Yeah, that's the 72 and the 24k for the 3 months. So round about 95, 98k. You would potentially need to sell this over I don't know, a 2-week time frame or something like that. Split
Yeah.
it. Yeah. But yeah, of course,
So
tokens need to be sold. Yeah, if you want to have if you want to be prepared against market volatility during the time, and you want to have the 6 months of salary there, you have to somehow handle that.
There's also the methodology, right, of just doing small cells for an extended period of time.
Yeah.
Right.
That was essentially my point.
Yes.
To say maybe we sell when we have 125k. Maybe we sell over a period of a month. We sell a few K every day.
Yeah.
And I think
that especially people don't know when we are going to sell. Which
right, you
time
can
of
never
day.
know. Like, just we need to make it a black box about when that happens.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Maybe we can say we can. Of course, people are going to see that we are transferring funds out, but there's going to be like something on exchange.
Yes, you put them on the exchange account, and then it's a black box basically when you are actually executing those orders.
And we say from time to we have some language that says from time to time the committee will sell to meet its financial obligations, and they can be tracked, here.
Yeah, we can publish our made price. I think we would have to actually say if we put an order in and it gets matched, then we would like say, hey, we just sold 3K worth of Shimmer, and there's another 6K, and all today was. I would essentially also give the committee some sort of freedom that say there's a pump, and the committee say, hey, we dumped 20K in today. But of course, we are.
I think
not
it's always
going
best to not even talk about it and just let it. The boss is gonna
maybe post it at when everything's done.
Yes,
but I think it's like it's.
I think most
organizations
don't ever talk about it.
Nobody like it's again something we are overthinking things. Nobody is telling anybody something like this.
It's not even a good idea. I'm sorry, but it's not even a good idea because
it could even
the minute
be
you
seen
start doing it,
could even be seen as a market manipulation thing.
Yes.
Basically, if you tell in advance that you're going to liquidate 100K tokens over the next week, it's not something that regulators want to see.
You want this process to be as randomized and untraceable, like you can't figure it out, right? Right, no rhyme or reason to it. So
that's the point exactly. Yeah, I think we would just post when we are done for a thing, when the period starts, at which point we are definitely done. We are going to post like how much did we get for how much tokens did we sell, and how many dollars did we get for it. This would be my suggestion. Because this is like transparency, how we sold these much tokens for this price, and then people can check, hey,
should we
you actually did good, you didn't good.
Should we? I mean, we can also go the way. We could.
I mean, I think we actually need to do that because people would like trace it because the address is unknown.
Should we get in contact with crypto finance and have this all done basically by a broker and a custody? Because then
it would be the best option.
Yeah, then it's completely away from the committee members. It's completely randomized. There's no influence.
Yeah, if crypto finance, I agree with that. It should be disguised.
Maybe not really cheap, but I don't know. Maybe if they take 30 or 40K for a year or something like this, it might be worth to remove this pain point.
Yeah. Especially for the first year, I think.
Yeah.
I think in the future, if we are going to have a smart contract where the remainder is locked, talking about the remainder, who is going to be the signers for that?
I think the determination, frankly, on this should be based upon how much that they will charge. What are the fees associated with it? Like if it's out of control. Because I had my initial discussions with them, and it was just like, just to get set up. I mean, I don't know what they're going to do because we are somewhat aligned with them, right, with IOTA. But I've not seen a declaration that they even support SMR or anything. So if they require a setup fee like $140,000 or $100,000, we can't go that way, in my opinion.
Then let's do it manual. But I'll check with them. Basically,
for sure.
And maybe.
And don't we have? There's also another service. I thought.
Yeah, there's. How are they called? I don't know how they're called, but there's another one. Yeah. But I think
there's Copper.
Something like that. But I think definitely crypto finance has, because they are holding the IF funds. So.
They might do a deal for us, but just I hope they do, right?
No, they have definitely Shimmer already integrated, so that should be clear.
Okay, cool. I didn't know.
Yeah, that's a good point. Might really look into this direction.
They should advise us on the best way to do that. They probably know how to They do that every day.
And then you also don't need this Bitfinex account and stuff like this, because basically they will handle all this stuff like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's kind of what we originally talked about way back when, and with the fast track idea, right? What we were going to do. So it should be. workable.
Potentially, I mean, we could even, if we would be okay. I mean, let's say, okay, this thing costs 100K, but the IF has already this thing in place.
Yes.
I mean, we could even just say, okay, hey, IF, we're gonna send you this amount of Shimmer tokens. Please give us
Yeah, that's
back.
yeah.
Give us
That's what
back
we discussed in
stable
the like way
coin.
before. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know if it would be, again, there might be tax implications or something for the IF then. But I will talk to some people about that to make it
Yeah, in this
as
case,
easy.
the IF is just a service provider to us, right?
Yeah.
So
As easy as possible and avoid some unneeded costs around that thing.
they may not be able
Yeah.
to. I don't know.
Yeah, I will see. I'll check. Okay, then the legal entity thing, again, to clarify it, the Swiss GmbH stuff, service provider contract. Then all committee members have to do the KIC, and it can be made responsible, blah 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 blah, based on the contractual terms. Gesellschafter and founder of the GmbH would be the Tangle Ecosystem Association, yeah, as set up entity. And then this is what Bian told me, that there can be made documents put in place in the setup of this LLC of the GmbH, that this GmbH is obliged to act on governance decisions by Shimmer token holders. Yeah, so you can really write this in the setup contracts in the Satzung of the GmbH. You can write, okay, any governance decision by the Shimmer token holders to whatever disobey, shut down the GmbH, engage or disengage with an employment contract, needs to be enforced based on these governance decisions. Yeah, so they are really then forced by law to act on such a thing. Yeah. And this is something I really have to talk with Bian to see, to get some papers on that, so that it's really understandable for everybody. I did put it, I added this in some of the replies in the forum. I put it also here, the setup costs for the Swiss thing. So basically you need to put 20,000 Swiss francs into the account of the GmbH to start up, and then you will have around 2,000 Swiss francs for notary costs and the commercial registry in Switzerland. And then you will have some attorneys that need to draft some documents like the Gesellschaftsvertrag and the Anstellungsvertrag for the managing director. There are template contracts available for this from Swiss law firms. Of course, this will cost a couple of thousands, of course, also, I'm sure, but it's not really something that is expensive. So in the end, this whole thing might turn out with a cost of maybe 30,000 Swiss francs, will be something like $25,000 or $22,000 to get this whole thing set up. That, of course, then will also need to come out of the community treasury. I think that's all that I changed. Like I said, I tried to shorten things down, but there's not so much to shorten without losing context. So it's still a not really short proposal, but I hope it's a little bit clearer in a lot of parts. Based on the comments that we have received, this might be a thing.
Yeah, my view on that is that we are probably more thorough. There's a lot more to read than most people would want. However, it's more about handling scenarios that may pop up.
Yeah.
So at least we have something to refer to, like, and if somebody says, "Oh yeah, that wasn't covered," well, no, it's been covered, but I don't think that we're affecting general way we operate, right? It's just all the exceptions, the possibilities.
It's good to have it, even if it's a shit of a lot of work to define the thing and it takes time. But like I said, just look in any other project out there.
Yeah.
Look into the forums. It's like it's a joke. Compared to what we are doing, is really I have not really seen anything as thorough and thought through. A couple of there are some good projects out there, but most of the things, especially the popular ones and the big ones, where you think, "Ooh, wow, they are doing really cool." If you start looking into it, yeah, you just have to be surprised and scratch your head. So I think we are doing very, very well here. We just have to get it done and get it voted on and decided by the community, and try to make as much people in the community aligned on that thing. You will never get everybody, and we also don't need to get everybody. There needs to be, and there can be disputes, and there can be different opinions. But as always, majority will be the one that has to decide this whole thing, and then we can go into execution mode. I would hope that some of you find the time to look through the HackMD. Leave a comment there if you think there needs to be something added or changed or reviewed, and then maybe next Thursday we can go through it again, and then maybe towards the weekend we post like an updated version in the governance forum, try to have addressed all the comments and suggestions from there as far as possible, and see if we are getting closer to a final version of this whole thing that is acceptable and supported by a big amount of community members, and yeah, then we can try to move forward. Good.
Yeah, then. Long talk today.
Yes, long talk. I need to drink something. But it's good. Basically, we went through this whole thing. Pretty nice that we could talk it through. And I hope people have been able to follow us and have also been able to follow our reasoning behind this whole thing. And yeah, then I would say have a nice evening, have a nice afternoon, night, or morning, wherever you are. We'll see you again on Thursday. And on Thursday, we see you at 5 p.m. Berlin time. After the,
5?
I think at 5, because at 4 we will have the tokenomics bankless session. Yeah. Oh no, wait, it's different.
This was after it.
Yeah, I think this time.
The sessions were at 5.
Yeah, I think
It's the other way.
it's
That's
the
why I
other way.
was so confused,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
the
no,
last
yeah.
weeks we had at 4 p.m. our meeting, and then 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. the DAO stuff.
Yeah. But I think this time it's different, because I think this time the reviewer, I think Bankless is at 4 and the governance meeting is at 5, because the guy from Bankless has to leave, so he cannot make 5, so I think it's 4. I changed it just today in the event, so you should have got an event notification if you signed up for the Bankless event. But there will also, I think there's already a tweet out with the correct timing. So yeah, Thursday from 4 until midnight, we will have something to talk about. And I'm sure the tokenomics session will be really cool.
Cool.
It's in at 4 p.m. Friday. The
Yeah,
event.
okay, 4 p.m. Good. 4 p.m. is
no, Bankless is at 5.
Bankless
It's
is at 5.
It's both at 4. Conflict.
Making me crazy. No, it's not possible. Wait. Event, governance working group, shalalala. 20th October at look into the notification from the sesh bot, and look into the Twitter tweet. I think it's 4 p.m. for Bankless and 5 p.m. for governance. Anyway, just drop into the Discord and have fun. See you next time, my friends. Thanks everyone for joining. Bye.
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 Bye.